The massive alien ships floated above Earth like dark clouds blocking out the sun. Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking down at the blue planet that had given his forces so much trouble. 3 long months of fighting were finally over. The humans had lost everything. Their cities were burning. Smoke rose from what used to be New York, London, and Tokyo. The orbital defense stations that once protected Earth were now just twisted, metal floating in space. The human navy that had fought so bravely was destroyed. Not a single warship remained to challenge the Zephyrian fleet. Kethvar smiled as he watched the planet below. His people had warned him that humans were dangerous. They said humans never gave up, even when they should. They said humans would fight until the very end. But like all organic species, they had their limits. Those limits had been reached and broken. The invasion had been easier than expected. Yes, the humans had good weapons and brave soldiers. Yes, they had fought harder than most species. But the Zephyrians had technology that was hundreds of years more advanced. Their energy shields could stop any human weapon. Their plasma cannons could destroy human ships with single shots. Deep underground beneath the ruins of Chicago, Commander Jake Harrison sat in a concrete bunker that had become the last command center of human resistance. The air was thick and stale. Emergency lights cast long shadows on the walls. Around him, the final survivors of Earth's military tried to make sense of their complete defeat. Jake was 45 years old and had spent 20 years in the Space Navy before the aliens came. He had fought in the first battle above Earth's moon. He had watched his ship explode around him and barely escaped in a rescue pod. Now he commanded what was left of humanity's fighting force, which was not much. His daughter Lisa sat beside him, checking the wounds of injured soldiers. She was a doctor who had joined the resistance when her hospital was destroyed in the first week of fighting. Her steady hands and calm voice had saved many lives in these dark tunnels. But even she could not save their dying world. Ben Carter worked at a bank of old computers trying to monitor alien communications. He was young, maybe 25, and had been a communications officer on a destroyer before it was blown apart. His fingers moved quickly over the keyboard as he tried to break through Zephyrian encryption codes. Most of the time, he failed. But sometimes he caught fragments of their plans. The aliens had made their demands clear through translator machines that spoke perfect English. Humanity had 72 hours to surrender completely. Every government had to give up. Every military unit had to lay down their weapons. Every human had to accept Zephyrian rule without question. If they refused, the aliens would sterilize the planet. They would burn away every city, every forest, every ocean. They would kill every living thing and start over with their own creatures. Earth would become another Zephyrian colony world, empty of its original life. Most world leaders had already agreed to surrender. The President of the United States was dead, killed when Washington, D.C. was destroyed. The European Union had collapsed when Brussels fell. The Chinese government had gone silent after Beijing was captured. Only small resistance groups like Jake's remained, hiding in deep bunkers and abandoned subway tunnels. Jake looked at the tactical display showing Earth's orbit. 300 alien ships surrounded their world like a metal cage. Each ship was larger than anything humans had ever built. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a continent. Against such overwhelming force, resistance seemed pointless. But Jake remembered his training. He remembered the oath he had sworn to protect Earth and all her people. Even if defeat was certain, even if hope was gone, he would not give up. Some things were worth fighting for, even when fighting was useless. Lisa finished bandaging a soldier's arm and walked over to her father. She could see the pain in his eyes, the weight of command crushing down on him. She put her hand on his shoulder and spoke quietly. "The wounded are stable," she said. "We have enough medical supplies for maybe another week. After that—" She did not finish the sentence. They both knew what came after that. Ben suddenly looked up from his computers, his face excited. "Sir, I'm picking up something strange. There's a signal coming from the outer system, way past Pluto. It's weak, but it's definitely artificial." Jake walked over to Ben's station. The young man pointed at patterns of light moving across his screen. "It's encrypted, but I recognize the basic format. This is human technology, sir. Someone is out there, and they're trying to communicate." The message was short and simple once Ben broke the encryption. Just a few words that made Jake's heart beat faster. "Phoenix protocol activated. Returning home." Jake stared at the message, in disbelief. Phoenix Protocol was a secret military program from before the war. He had heard rumors about it, but never knew if it was real. The story was that humanity had sent a special ship on a long-range exploration mission, equipped with experimental technology that was too dangerous to test near Earth. If the rumors were true, that ship had been gone for 20 years. It had traveled farther from home than any human had ever gone before. The crew would not even know that Earth had been invaded. They would not know that humanity was dying. But they were coming home. Lisa read the message over her father's shoulder. "Could it be real?" she asked. "Could there really be a human ship out there?" Jake did not answer immediately. He had learned not to hope for miracles. Hope was dangerous when you were losing a war. Hope could make you careless. Hope could get people killed. But as he looked at the message again, he felt something he had not felt in months. Maybe it was not hope exactly. Maybe it was just the stubborn human refusal to accept defeat. Maybe it was the knowledge that somewhere in the dark, between the stars, other humans were still fighting, still free. High above them, Admiral Kethvar received reports from his sensor operators. They had detected something moving in the outer system. Something large, traveling at high speed toward the inner planets. His officers dismissed it as space debris or a small asteroid. Kethvar was not so sure. In his long career, he had learned to trust his instincts. Something about this reading felt wrong. He ordered his ships to maintain watch on the unknown object and to report any changes immediately. The alien admiral did not know it yet, but his easy victory was about to become much more complicated. Somewhere in the darkness beyond Pluto, humanity's last and greatest weapon was racing toward home. The invasion was over, but the real war was just beginning. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty as thousands of human ships surrounded the disabled Zephyrian fleet. The aliens who had come to conquer humanity now drifted helplessly in space, their quantum technology disrupted by the very network they had failed to detect. "Admiral Kethvar," Jake said into the open communication channel, "you spent 3 years studying our military history. You learned about our wars, our tactics, our weapons, but you missed the most important thing about humanity." On the Zephyrian flagship, Admiral Kethvar watched his tactical displays with growing despair. His fleet of 2,000 ships was powerless. Half of them couldn't even maintain structural integrity without their quantum systems. The other half were surrounded by human vessels that had appeared from nowhere. "What did we miss?" Kethvar asked, his voice hollow with defeat. "You studied our wars, but you never understood our peace," Jake replied. "Humans don't just fight. We prepare, we plan, we sacrifice our present for our future, and we work together across generations for goals we might never live to see completed." Dr. Lisa Chen activated the next phase of the quantum fold network from her laboratory. The system that had disrupted Zephyrian technology could do much more than disable enemy ships. It could transport matter instantly across vast distances, effectively giving humanity control over space itself. "Quantum fold gates are stable," she announced. "We now have direct access to every major system in Zephyrian space." Admiral Jake Hart led the first human fleet to emerge directly behind Zephyrian positions throughout the galaxy. The quantum fold network allowed ships to travel from Earth to the alien homeworlds in seconds. Before the Zephyrians could warn their planets about humanity's capabilities, human vessels were already there. "This is Admiral Hart to Zephyrian Command," Jake Hart transmitted from orbit around the alien capital world. Your invasion fleet is disabled. Your home systems are surrounded. We strongly suggest you listen to what Captain Morrison has to say. Back in the solar system, Colonel Steve Parker revealed the true scope of humanity's deception to the stunned alien commander. Every human colony, research station, and outpost contained military assets that had been hidden for generations. The species that appeared to live only on a few planets actually had a presence throughout the galaxy. Admiral, your people have been watching us for 50 years, Steve explained through the communication link. In all that time, did you ever wonder why humans seemed so eager to explore empty space? Why we built stations in systems with no valuable resources? The truth was that humanity had been establishing hidden bases throughout the galaxy since their first contact with alien technology. Every exploration mission had included military objectives. Every research station had been designed for eventual conversion to a fortress. Humans had been preparing for galactic war while pretending to be peaceful explorers. Commander Rachel Davis delivered Dr. Chen's final revelation to the Zephyrian fleet. The quantum fold network wasn't just a weapon or a transportation system. It was a tool that could either save the aliens or destroy them completely. Admiral Kethvar, Dr. Chen wants you to understand something, Rachel transmitted. The same technology that disabled your ships can transport them safely back to your territory, or it can scatter their atoms across the void. The choice is yours, the Bati. Quantum fold system could manipulate matter at the subatomic level. It could move entire fleets across the galaxy in seconds, or it could disintegrate them just as quickly. Humanity had built the ultimate weapon, but they were offering to use it for mercy instead of destruction. Major Karen Foster coordinated the reveal of resistance cells throughout Zephyrian space. The humans who had appeared to be peaceful colonists, researchers and traders, were actually sleeper agents who had been waiting for this moment. Within minutes of the solar system battle, human forces were active on dozens of alien worlds. Zephyrian Command, this is Major Foster, she transmitted from a hidden base that had operated inside alien territory for 15 years. Your intelligence services never detected us because you were looking for military units. You never suspected that ordinary human civilians could be trained soldiers. The Zephyrians had allowed human presence in their territory because the humans appeared harmless. Scientists, engineers, doctors, and traders had spread throughout alien space, establishing what looked like peaceful relationships. The aliens never realized that every human civilian was also a potential warrior, trained from childhood to fight if necessary. Dr. Marcus Johnson revealed the scope of humanity's technological achievement from his research station in the asteroid belt. The quantum fold network represented the combined work of thousands of scientists across multiple generations. It was technology that surpassed anything the Zephyrians had ever imagined. Your computers calculated that humans couldn't develop quantum fold technology for another 200 years, Marcus explained to the silent alien fleet. Your projections were based on normal technological development, but humans don't develop technology normally when our survival is threatened. Humanity had compressed centuries of research into decades by working together in ways the Zephyrians couldn't understand. While alien species developed technology slowly and carefully, humans took risks, shared knowledge freely, and built on each other's work at incredible speed. Admiral Kethvar finally spoke after minutes of stunned silence. How long have you been planning this? Since the day we realized we weren't alone in the universe, Captain Morrison replied. Every human leader for the past 50 years has contributed to this plan. Some of them died before seeing any results. Others worked their entire lives on projects they knew they might never complete. But they did it anyway, because that's what humans do. The alien admiral struggled to understand what he was hearing. His species planned in cycles of immediate benefit. They conquered other worlds for resources they could use right away. The idea of working for decades on a plan that might never be needed was completely foreign to them. What do you want from us? Kethavar asked. The same thing we've always wanted, Morrison replied. To be left alone to live our lives in peace. But if you can't give us that, we're prepared to defend ourselves in ways you never imagined. Dr. Chen opened a final communication channel that reached every Zephyrian ship in the galaxy. Admiral, we're offering you two choices. You can return to your territory and never threaten humanity again. We'll even help repair your ships and provide safe passage home. Or you can continue trying to conquer us and learn what happens when humans stop pretending to be weak. The quantum fold network hummed with power throughout the solar system. Human ships appeared and disappeared at will, demonstrating capabilities that made the Zephyrian fleet look primitive by comparison. But the most impressive thing wasn't the technology. It was the restraint. Humanity had the power to destroy the entire Zephyrian alliance within hours. They could have eliminated every alien ship and invaded every alien world before their enemies could respond. Instead, they were offering mercy to the species that had come to enslave them. Admiral Kethavar made his decision. We accept your terms. The Zephyrian alliance will withdraw from human space and will not return. Good choice, Captain Morrison replied. Welcome to the new galaxy, Admiral. One where humanity is no longer hiding what we're capable of. The species that had seemed trapped and helpless had revealed themselves to be the most dangerous force in known space. But they had also shown that being dangerous didn't mean being cruel. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again. Dr. Lisa Chen placed her hand on the activation control. 20 years of secret planning, hidden construction, and careful deception all came down to this moment. Around her, displays showed the positions of every Zephyrian ship in the solar system. The aliens had arranged themselves perfectly inside the trap they didn't know existed. Network synchronization complete, she announced. All stations confirm ready status. Initiating quantum fold sequence in 3, 2, 1, activate. The effect was instant and invisible. Throughout the solar system, quantum energy began, flowing through pathways the Zephyrians couldn't detect. The hidden network that humanity had built inside their fake mining stations and disguised research facilities came alive all at once. Commander Bill Turner activated the solar collection array from his position on Mercury. For 30 years, humanity had been building what appeared to be an environmental project. The Zephyrians had watched the construction through their long observation period and concluded it was a desperate attempt to gather energy for Earth's growing population. They were wrong about the desperation, but right about the energy. Solar array at full power, Bill reported. Energy levels are beyond anything we tested. This thing could power a small planet. The solar collection array was actually the largest directed energy weapon ever built. Disguised as environmental equipment, it had been slowly growing for 3 decades. Every component looked peaceful. Every system appeared designed for civilian use. But when combined and properly focused, the array could deliver enough energy to destroy entire fleets. Major Sue Campbell led the first wave of ships that revealed their true nature. Her squadron had been flying patrol duty for 2 years, using vessels that appeared to be converted civilian craft. The Zephyrians had classified them as desperate improvisations, not worth serious attention. All ships, this is Campbell, she transmitted. Drop the disguises. Show them what we really built. Across the solar system, human ships began transforming. Cargo haulers extended hidden weapon systems. Research vessels powered up military-grade shields. Transport ships revealed engine modifications that tripled their speed. Every craft in the human fleet had been designed with dual purposes from the beginning. The Zephyrians had been counting 400 human military vessels. They suddenly found themselves facing nearly 3,000 warships that had been hiding in plain sight. Dr. Jerry Adams triggered the quantum resonance cascade from his laboratory on Ganymede. The energy wave traveled instantly through the network Dr. Chen had created, reaching every hidden station throughout the solar system. But this wasn't just a communication system or a power grid. It was a weapon designed specifically to destroy Zephyrian technology. "Resonance cascade is active," Jerry announced. "Enemy ships are beginning to show system failures. The Zephyrian fleet depended on quantum coherence to maintain their crystalline ship structures. Their weapons, shields, and engines all used quantum technology that seemed impossible to disrupt. But Dr. Chen had spent 15 years studying captured alien technology, learning how their systems worked. She had found their weakness. Admiral Kethvar felt the first tremor run through his flagship as quantum disruption reached his fleet. Warning. Lights flashed across his command bridge as systems began failing in ways his computers couldn't explain. "Report!" he demanded. "Admiral, we're experiencing quantum coherence breakdown in all ships," Commander Vexelar replied, his voice tight with panic. "Weapons are offline. Shields are fluctuating. Some vessels are losing structural integrity." Kethvar stared at his tactical displays as his perfect formation began falling apart. Ships that had been untouchable moments before were now drifting, helplessly as their quantum systems failed. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the human ships that were suddenly appearing everywhere. Colonel Steve Parker emerged from his hidden command center on Mars as the facility revealed its true nature. The rusted walls fell away, showing gleaming military equipment underneath. Weapon platforms rose from underground silos. Shield generators powered up to protect the base from orbital bombardment. "This is Mars Command to all units," Steve transmitted. "The masquerade is over. All hidden installations, reveal yourselves and begin the attack." Throughout the solar system, humanity's secret military network came into the open. Mining stations deployed massive weapons that had been disguised as drilling equipment. Research facilities activated defense systems that made them into fortress platforms. Even civilian colonies revealed military capabilities that the Zephyrians had never suspected. Captain Nick Roberts led his squadron in their fake desperate attack while more human ships appeared behind the Zephyrian formation. His breakout attempt had been designed to draw alien vessels out of position. Now those ships found themselves cut off from their main fleet and surrounded by enemies they hadn't known existed. "Control, this is Roberts," he transmitted with satisfaction. "The diversion worked perfectly. Enemy ships are trapped between our forces." Lieutenant Sam Brooks monitored alien communications from Pluto as panic spread through the Zephyrian fleet. The confident voices he had been listening to for months were now filled with confusion and fear. "Admiral Kethvar is demanding explanations. His officers can't provide," Sam reported. "They're asking how humans could have hidden so many ships and weapons. Their computers are showing error messages because this situation was never programmed as possible. The Zephyrian computers had been designed to predict human behavior based on historical data, but the data they had been given was false. Every piece of information about human military capabilities had been carefully crafted to create exactly this moment of surprise." Chief Engineer Kate Williams powered the lunar installations to full capacity as weapon platforms emerged from beneath the moon's surface. The quantum resonance array was working perfectly, disrupting Zephyrian technology throughout the solar system while leaving human equipment unaffected. "Dr. Chen, this is Luna Base," Kate transmitted. "The quantum disruption field is stable and expanding. Enemy ships are losing cohesion faster than we projected." Dr. Chen smiled as she watched the tactical displays update. Red dots representing Zephyrian ships were changing to yellow as their systems failed. Many were beginning to drift as their engines went offline. A few had lost structural integrity completely and were breaking apart. "All stations, this is Colorado Command," she announced. "Phase 1 is complete. Begin Phase 2. Show them what happens when you trap humanity. Captain." Jake Morrison received the Phase 2 authorization as the USS Liberty reached its final position. Around him, the space that had been empty moments before was now filled with human warships that had used the quantum fold network to travel instantly across the solar system. "Amy, open a channel to the Zephyrian flagship," Jake ordered. "Channel. Open, sir." Jake looked directly into the camera that would transmit his image to Admiral Kethavar. "Admiral, this is Captain Morrison of the United Earth Defense Force. I have a message for you from the human species." On the alien flagship, Kethavar watched in growing horror as more human vessels continued to appear around his disabled fleet. The species he thought he had trapped had revealed capabilities far beyond anything his computers had predicted. "You studied our wars," Jake continued, "but you never understood our peace. We've been preparing for you since the day we realized. We weren't alone in the universe. What you thought was a trap was actually an invitation. Welcome to our solar system, Admiral. Now let's discuss terms for your surrender." The hunter had become the hunted, and the Zephyrians were beginning to understand that humanity was far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. Dr. Lisa Chen connected the final component with hands that barely trembled. After 20 years of secret work, the quantum fold network was ready. The device looked simple enough, a small crystal that fit in her palm. But this crystal contained enough compressed technology to change the balance of power in the galaxy. "Integration complete," she announced to her team. "All network nodes are responding. We have full coverage across the solar system." Commander Tony Walsh checked his instruments from a hidden facility on Europa. His team had spent 5 years disguising their military base as a water processing plant. The Zephyrians had scanned it hundreds of times, always concluding it was exactly what it appeared to be: boring civilian infrastructure that posed no threat. "Dr. Chen, this is Europa Station," Tony transmitted through the quantum communication system. "Our section of the network is active. The terraforming equipment is ready to reveal its true purpose." The terraforming equipment was humanity's greatest deception. For 15 years, humans had been installing what looked like machines for changing planet atmospheres. The Zephyrians had encouraged this work, thinking it would keep humans busy with peaceful projects instead of building weapons. What the aliens didn't understand was that terraforming equipment and military equipment used many of the same technologies. Atmospheric processors could be converted to energy weapons. Gravity manipulators could become shield generators. Environmental control systems could jam enemy communications. Major Karen Foster coordinated the hidden teams from her command center on Titan. Her facility was buried beneath a methane refinery that had been operating for 12 years. The Zephyrians had classified it as a low-priority target because humans needed fuel for their ships. They planned to capture it intact after humanity surrendered. "All resistance cells report ready status," Karen announced. "We have teams in position on 17 moons and 8 major asteroids." The aliens never suspected we were hiding military units inside civilian operations. The resistance cells were humanity's secret army. While the Zephyrians watched human military forces concentrate around Earth, thousands of soldiers had been living normal lives as miners, engineers, and scientists. They had families, jobs, and daily routines that looked completely peaceful. But every one of them was a trained warrior waiting for the signal to fight. Captain Nick Roberts led his squadron in what appeared to be a desperate breakout attempt. His ships flew straight toward the Zephyrian perimeter, their weapons firing wildly. To alien observers, it looked like humans were finally cracking under pressure and making the kind of foolish attack their computers had predicted. "Control, this is Breakout Squadron," Nick transmitted on an open channel he knew the aliens were monitoring. "We can't wait any longer. We're going to punch through their line and run for deep space." His ships accelerated toward the nearest group of Zephyrian vessels. The alien formation moved to intercept, just as Nick had hoped they would. The Zephyrians were so confident in their trap that they didn't hesitate to weaken other parts of their perimeter to deal with one small group of desperate humans. Nick's squadron fired everything they had at the alien ships, creating an impressive light show that looked like humanity's last stand. His pilots had practiced this performance for months, making it appear as desperate and disorganized as possible while actually following a precise plan. Lieutenant Sam Brooks monitored enemy communications from his hidden base on Pluto. The Zephyrians had never bothered to scan Pluto carefully because it was too far away to threaten anything. Sam's small team had been living in an automated research station for 3 years, watching and listening to everything the alien fleet transmitted. "They're taking the bait," Sam reported through the quantum network. "Admiral Kethavar is moving ships to intercept Captain Roberts. He's convinced this is exactly the kind of desperate move humans would make." The alien communications were full of satisfied comments about human predictability. Zephyrian officers congratulated each other on how well their strategy was working. Their computers had analyzed thousands of years of human warfare and concluded that trapped humans always tried to break out through the weakest point in an enemy: formation. The computers were right about human behavior. What they didn't know was that humans were capable of faking their own behavioral patterns when it served their purposes. Admiral Kethvar watched the human breakout attempt with cold satisfaction. His tactical displays showed exactly what his computers had predicted. Human ships were gathering around their home planet in defensive formations. Civilian vessels were fleeing in panic. Military commanders were making desperate attacks that had no chance of success. "Admiral, the human squadron is fighting harder than expected," reported Commander Vexelar. "Should we send additional ships to ensure their destruction?" "Yes," Kethvar decided. "Double the intercept force. I want this attack crushed completely. It will serve as an example to any other humans thinking of resistance." More Zephyrian ships moved away from their assigned positions to destroy Captain Roberts and his squadron. The alien formation developed gaps that hadn't existed before. Kethvar didn't worry about this because his computers showed no human forces in position to exploit those gaps. The computers were wrong. Dr. Jerry Adams triggered the first phase of the quantum resonance system from his laboratory on Ganymede. His facility had been disguised as a food production center for 8 years. The Zephyrians knew humans needed to eat, so they had never questioned why Ganymede hosted several agricultural installations. "Resonance cascade initiated," Jerry announced. "Energy is building throughout the network. We'll reach critical levels in 30 minutes. The quantum resonance cascade was invisible to Zephyrian sensors. Their ships detected no change in human energy signatures. Their computers registered no new threats. Everything appeared exactly as it had before, but throughout the solar system, hidden human facilities were linking together into a single massive weapon system. Every fake mining station, every disguised research lab, every converted civilian installation was adding its power to a network the aliens couldn't see. Back on the USS Liberty, Captain Jake Morrison received a coded transmission that made him smile for the first time in days. The message was simple: "Network active, all stations report ready, proceed to final position." Jake turned to his crew. "Set course for the coordinates Dr. Chen transmitted. Best possible speed." "Sir, those coordinates will put us directly between the largest concentration of enemy ships," Lieutenant Amy Barnes warned. "I know exactly where they'll put us, Lieutenant. That's the point." As the Liberty and her escorts changed course again, Zephyrian sensors tracked their movement. Admiral Kethvar noted that the human command ship was moving toward what appeared to be a defensive position near Mars. It was another predictable move from a species that thought in straight lines. The Admiral never suspected that Captain Morrison was actually moving into position to coordinate the largest military surprise in galactic history. In 30 minutes, the Zephyrians would discover that everything they thought they knew about humanity was wrong. They would learn that the species they had trapped was actually the species that had trapped them. The real war was about to begin. The stars looked different today. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty and watched as alien ships moved into position around Earth's solar system. Each vessel looked like a giant crystal, glowing with blue light that hurt to look at directly. The Zephyrian fleet had been moving for 3 days now, and Jake knew what they were doing. They were building a cage around humanity. "Sir, we have another count update," said Lieutenant Amy Barnes from her station. Her voice stayed calm, but Jake could hear the worry underneath. 2,043 enemy vessels now in position. They have us completely surrounded. Jake nodded but said nothing. He had been expecting this day for months. The Zephyrians were smart. They had spent 3 years studying human military tactics, learning how Earth's forces moved and fought. They knew every trick in the human playbook because they had stolen the information right from Earth's military computers during their first contact. The alien ships formed a perfect sphere around the solar system. No human vessel could escape without running into their blockade. It was the most complete military trap in galactic history, and humanity had walked right into it. "Captain, incoming transmission from Admiral Kethvar," Amy reported. "Put it on." "Screen." The main display flickered, and the face of the Zephyrian commander appeared. Kethvar looked like a tall human, but his skin had a blue tint, and his eyes were completely black. When he spoke, his voice came through the translation systems with cold confidence. "Captain Morrison, I trust you can see the situation clearly. Now, your species is trapped. There is no escape from this system. You have 72 hours to surrender all human military forces, or we will begin destroying your worlds one by one." Jake stared back at the alien commander. "And if we surrender, then humanity will serve the Zephyrian Alliance as a worker species. You will live, but you will never again travel between the stars. This solar system will become your permanent prison." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in silence. Jake looked around at his crew. These men and women had followed him through 2 years of skirmishes with alien scouts. They trusted him to find a way out of impossible situations. But this time felt different. "Orders, sir?" Amy asked. "Continue evasive maneuvers. Keep our ships moving between the planets. Make it look like we're panicking." Amy frowned. "Sir? Just do it, Lieutenant." 300 million miles away, Dr. Lisa Chen worked in her laboratory buried deep beneath the Colorado mountains. Her fingers moved quickly across holographic displays, checking equations that filled the air around her. She had been working for 18 hours straight, surviving on coffee and determination. The quantum fold technology was almost ready. Almost, but not quite. She needed 6 more hours to complete the calculations, and 12 hours after that to run the final tests. The problem was that humanity might not have that much time. "Lisa, you need to see this," called Dr. Marcus Johnson from across the lab. He was watching a news feed from the surface. "The aliens just destroyed the mining station on Ceres. Completely. Vaporized it." Lisa looked up from her work. The Ceres station had 300 people on it. Had, past tense now. "How long until they reach the inner planets?" she asked. "At their current speed, maybe 36 hours. Lisa turned back to her equations. 36 hours to save humanity. No pressure at all. Above ground, General Paul Hendricks watched the tactical displays in his command bunker. Red dots showed Zephyrian positions throughout the solar system. Blue dots marked human ships, and there were far too few of them. The aliens outnumbered humanity 5-1, and their technology was more advanced. "General, we're getting reports." "From Commander Turner's patrol," said Colonel Steve Parker. "The aliens are systematically destroying our outer defenses. Phobos station went dark 20 minutes ago." Paul studied the display. The Zephyrians were being thorough. They weren't just trapping humanity. They were removing any possible threat before moving in for the final kill. It was smart strategy, the kind that military computers would recommend. "What about the civilian evacuation?" Paul asked. "Still ongoing, sir. We're moving as many people as possible to the inner planet shelters. But if the aliens reach Earth?" Paul nodded. Everyone knew what would happen if the aliens reached Earth. 7 billion people had nowhere to run. On the bridge of the USS Liberty, Jake watched another human outpost disappear from the sensors. The aliens were picking apart humanity's defenses, piece by piece, and there was nothing his small fleet could do to stop them. Every time human ships tried to engage, the Zephyrians simply overwhelmed them with superior numbers and firepower. "Captain, we're receiving a coded transmission from Earth Command," Amy reported. Jake looked at the message that appeared on his personal screen. It was short. "Proceed to coordinates 247.8 by 1.56.3. Maintain current defensive posture. Do not engage enemy directly." The coordinates were near Mars. Jake wasn't sure what Earth Command expected him to accomplish there, but orders were orders. "Set course for Mars, best possible speed," he told his helmsman. "Sir, that will take us closer." "To the alien perimeter," Amy warned. "I know, do it anyway." As the Liberty and her escort ships changed course, Admiral Kethvar watched from his flagship. The human ships were moving in predictable patterns, just as his tactical computers had calculated they would. Humans always tried to consolidate their forces when threatened. They always fell back to defensive positions around their home world. They were following the same patterns they had used in every war they had ever fought. Kethvar felt satisfied with his strategy. The Zephyrian Alliance had spent 50 years studying various species before conquering them. Humans were no different from the others. They had technology and determination, but they were still just another primitive species that thought in straight lines. His computers showed him the final battle projections. Human resistance would collapse within 48 hours. After that, Earth would belong to the Alliance, and humanity would join the dozens of other species serving as workers across Zephyrian space. The Admiral never suspected that every piece of information his computers used to make these predictions had been carefully placed there by human intelligence. He never imagined that the species he was hunting had been preparing for this exact situation for over 20 years. He never realized that in building the perfect trap, he had walked into one himself. The real war was about to begin, and the Zephyrians had no idea what humanity was actually capable of doing.